And we are live, WrestlePurists Worldwide, hosted by myself, Joe Hulbert, Ibu of WrestlePurists, also known as Backup Hangman, joining us on camera again. Going to make this a regular thing. And that's the reason why we're late. We spent quite a lot of time trying to get Ibu out of the makeup chair, get the lighting correct and all those good things that he needs. He's quite a diva. But we're here. And we've got quite a lot of things to get into from, Mercedes, weekend recap, a few other potential signings going here and there, and WWE on Amazon, potentially. What else we got to talk? We got a few things to get into, but first things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats for any questions, any takes, anything like that. Turn on post notifications. Hope everyone's doing good and had a good weekend. Time my fellow co-host, Joe Hulbert. What is going on?
That was a hell of a pop we just got there for that. Ibu of WrestlePurists faced, and that was a big deal. I mean, I knew it was going to be big. We made it worth the wait, right? But the issue is now we've started with the biggest pop of the match. So now we're going to slow things down, grab a hold,
Don't start.
Take them on a ride, brother. So that's what I'm here to do. Hope everyone is well. I spoke to you all 24 hours ago on an award show. So happy Monday.
Yeah, man. There was a award show. You had a busy week, Joe. A lot of after parties, a lot of stars, a lot of pictures being taken with people.
It's tough.
Busy, bro. Get yourself busy.
Being Joe Hulbert is difficult. Many have said, and we're doing our best here. We have professional wrestling to discuss, which is the most important thing in life, right? So I'm back.
Ibu, you're on camera. You got a big pop. You're trying to play it cool. We'll talk to the people, man. What's going on?
What's going on is I think my foot is broken. My fridge still is not fixed. And there's about 2 out of 9 things on tonight's Raw that I feel like I want to see. But nevertheless, I watched the 92 G1 Climax today. So,
so overall, positive,
Yeah, I'm doing okay. It's WrestlePurists Worldwide. I was forced to do this contractually. I'd rather just be roaming around in my house making food. But Monty said he would be fining me in 2024 if I didn't have my camera on. So I'm being a good soldier here and turning this shit on, unfortunately, at the expense of my health and well-being. But you got to do what you got to do. I watched the 92 G1 today. Not the whole thing, but very Gaijin heavy single elimination tournament. The prize was the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So yeah, NWA World Heavyweight Championship was a prize. Masachono's in it, Rick Rude's in it, Barry Windham's in it, Bam Bam Bigelow's in it, Scott Norton, Steve Austin, Kensuke Sasaki. Stacked fucking tournament, And
dude, it's so awesome when you get to the final. You've seen the final before, we've discussed it before.
I've seen the final a million times.
But when the final happens, you have Dusty as the WCW rep, acting like he's the president of the United States, looking really serious and taking things, sports style presentation, brother.
They're playing the anthem and shit. The funniest thing is in the opening ceremony, which I found on the archive website, was they're playing the Japanese anthem and the American anthem, and then everybody's watching the flag and shit, and they have the hearts in their hand, the hand in the heart, right? Randomly at the end of the anthem, Bam Bam Bigelow goes, "I'm gonna win this motherfucker." It's just okay. Yeah, fun tournament. The best thing I saw from the tournament side was Scott Norton and Bam Bam. And Bam Bam throws him to the outside, and Scott starts he gets a crimson mask all over his face, right? And they just start fucking clobbering each other and doing shoulder tackles and stuff. And then it's this bloody war, right? But then at the finish, it's kind of emotional because Bam Bam checks on Scott, who I think is shoot knocked out. And he's just kind of "Yo, you all right, man?" And then they just hug. And it's really sincere. Yeah, it was the manliest thing ever. So I had a nice afternoon.
You did. It sounded like you got a few pops in there. And, like I said, you are contractually obligated to be keeping that camera on going forward to build, I had to put my foot down. Had to, sometimes you gotta have a line with your talent sometimes, You can't let the inmates run the ship, You can't let them run this shit. And that's what WrestlePurists talent definitely is. They're a bunch of inmates. They're a bunch of animals.
Handsome FTW says, Ibu has pants on, right? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm wearing basketball shorts.
Yeah, close enough. That's close enough. I got worried where that was going.
Yeah, so did I.
Imagine
I'm going to be completely honest. You was like, well, you don't have to be. But...
Oh my God! Random note. I think I was listening to the Dynamite review, right? And Monty did a Maneism. He randomly just said, "I almost shit myself," and I was like, "Why?" It's
Wait, did he?
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I gotta be honest. I almost shit myself at the point."
What was we talking about?
I don't remember. But you were just like,
see.
"I almost shit myself." Yeah.
That's long-term storytelling.
That's long term. Yeah.
The way we're going to build to the Hooper's big return is we're all going to just like randomly throw in Hooperisms, to get the people ready. It's like Shinsuke doing the GTS,
Manny wouldn't use it as like the saying though,
No,
like,
he just says someone a shit.
Yeah, Manny would just be like, "Oh, if I ate that, I'd shit myself." Or if someone tackled me like that, I'd shit myself. Like he weren't using it.
Look, man, some wrestling analysts, they'll say like that was a violent bump. Manny will say he may have just shit himself, and that's why you need the Hooper around, because you need that variety. It's important.
Absolutely. He has a way with words that only he does at WrestlePurists, for better and for worse.
All right, so we're all over the place here, but let's I'd say restore order, but we're going to continue to be all over the place. We've got some super chats. Going to try and get these read out as quick as I can. Quick as I can tonight, every 15 minutes or so. But Hamza starting us off with £4.99. Appreciate you as always. Just watch Nigel versus Brian unified, then Austin versus Brett 1996 at Survivor Series. Finally, Orton versus Christian over the limit 2011. Real music, real graps.
Someone has to give this guy the aux cord. He's playing some more music. You know who I'd give him the aux cord over? Rob. Sometimes I watch wrestling.
Rob's quite erratic.
Monty, we give Rob the aux sometimes on Discord, and if you turn around for 2 seconds, you're gonna be watching Aces and HTNA, and it's like, where did this come from? But all these matches are phenomenal. So shout out to Hamza.
Oh, I thought it was just kind of that was like a dramatic pause, but
Monty's frozen.
Yeah, shout out to him. Orton Christian is the worst match there, hilariously, which says a lot about the trifecta that you've gone for.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
I gotta be honest, I never seen it for a long time because I quit wrestling in 2011 for a lot of the year, and then it was Isra who actually, like, I think 2 years ago was like, "Yo, that's one of my favorite matches of all time," and I checked it out. It's tremendous.
They had a very special chemistry, almost like a sort of baby Omega Okada, where it's like the ultimate natural wrestler paired with the most perfect wrestling brain. That kind of dynamic.
Yeah. The creativity and the dynamicness of one guy, and then the other guy's just a great athlete and stuff like that. Also tools.
Absolutely was.
Monty is back. He is back from his technical difficulties.
It's happened to me twice at the start of 2 shows, and let me tell you something. When you look up all the stats and statistics, Virgin Media's internet, it's got all the bells and whistles. It's shiny on the outside. It even costs a little extra than the others. You think you're going to get this reliable internet? Let me tell you something. Sky, it's like that X you always run back to or something. Reliable, stream on it without any issues. So I'm sticking with Sky. Anyway, enough of me. Continuing the super chat. Apologies, everyone. I need to get this full screen, and I need to scroll all the way up to get the super chats now.
Okay. We were just discussing these 3 matches while you were gone, so
I could have done 20 minutes if I needed to. Survivor Series 96 is an awesome show.
Bro, that is like one of those matches you go, that's pro wrestling. What defines pro wrestling for you? That match is up there for me. Beautiful.
When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is nowhere near as good as the Steve Austin Brett match from Mania 13." But it's kind of brilliant, The more you see it, there's like so many little. It's a compilation of just like amazingly executed, just detail oriented wrestling.
Yes.
Right. So I think I may be missing one super chat. So whoever it was, let me know. Darren Walker, £2. Appreciate you as always. Any views on Strikergate in MLW? Striker's like the worst commentator in the game. I don't know how this is still a thing that we have to. Well, we don't have to discuss it. You're just asking in a super chat, you know. But like,
I will say, I was subjected to this match, and his commentary was horrendous. Even aside from like him just caping for Matt Riddle,
Always is, bro. Always is.
he is. Joe, they're doing like just base level basic wrestling, right? And he's like, "This is the best wrestling on the planet, MLW." Ah!
That's the thing, yeah. It's credibility killing. It's brutal.
Exactly, it's credibility killing, and he's just like, "I'm having no time in my life. This is where wrestling is born. It's where it convenes. This is MLW." I'm like, it's taking it easy.
When he was in Impact, it would be like Chris Sabin versus Rich Swann or whatever on TV in front of like 400 fans, and he'd be like, "This really is the height of the sport. I mean, really, the majesty and the grace of this great sport." It's like you have to have perspective, you know. But I know, again, we're not even talking about the ridiculous shit that he came out with about saying this real. So yeah, brutal.
It's just
there's only one
typical performance from him.
Yeah, really. Very MLW. Very MLW.
Yeah, there's only one commentator that gets away with being just that like self-aggrandizing about his company, and that's 90s Jim Ross, who will just be like, "This is the NWA. This is what we fight for. It's about passion. It's about athletes. It's about fire. It's about competitiveness, competition." Like, you know, but yeah.
It's a good time. Big fan. Big fan of this as well. Corey David, $2. What is next for Oberfirman? So I thought about this a lot, and we got to get into that.
Of course you did.
We got to get into that NXT World Title ASAP. Well, not ASAP, but we got obviously you got to do Ilya versus Trick Williams again, and Carmelo can cost Trick, and then you can do Trick versus Melo, and you know you still got Ilya as the champion. It's like who's gonna defeat him? You know,
when is he gonna work All Japan?
That's a great question.
Or Ilya? Over for me in All Japan. The monster that comes in to fight Nakajima. The problem with that though is that you'd have to win the Triple Crown.
Joe, did you see Dempsey Nakajima?
I did. I just watched before we got. I like Dempsey, man.
Yeah,
I really do. I think he's good.
He doesn't jump off the page immediately. You know what I mean? He's not flashy or sexy in the modern sense, but maybe I watched it at the right time because I'm sitting back last night, right? And he's just kind of grappling at this very, very slow pace.
Hanging out.
I'm hanging out. I'm like, this feels like 1982 All Japan, where Dory Funk will just be fucking around with Jumbo Tsuruta for like 20 fucking minutes before they do anything, you know? But it's very snug. It's very professional. The escapes out of these holds is very, very just well done, you know? And then he does a 360 cattle mutilation. And
that was wild, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that's impressive about him is Regal's greatest strength as a performer was that he had that great attention to detail. And the fact that that's like already kind of present in Dempsey's game is actually pretty wild. He's going to be an interesting watch because he doesn't really make any sense in the WWE setting right now.
No.
Regal, you know, Lord Steven Regal was great in WCW, but those matches would often struggle with WCW crowds, let alone if they're in front of WWE crowds. So how he's going to make the jump from what he is now to what a Regal was in 2002 or whatever in WWE will be fascinating, right? Because Regal had to do a lot of shtick to connect with that audience.
Exactly.
I don't know if Dempsey's going to have that. We'll see, I guess.
He developed like a sense of humor and stuff like that, and Charlie's just a fucking grappler from 1979.
Yeah, he's Thatcher, basically. He's Tim Thatcher.
Yes, like, and I made that comparison. I only brought that up because it does appear like, based on Dave Meltz, that WWE is going to continue to try to trickle things in with All Japan, and political ramifications aside, just purely from a fan watching standpoint, if you're gonna send somebody, let's send an Obafemi.
Obafemi, Darren Walker, £2. Appreciate you as always. Who's the worst faction ever? Is it House of Torture? I'm sure there is actual worse ones, but I'm not surprised that someone would throw that name into that, you know?
The actual answer is Retribution. They're like genuinely the worst faction of all time. However, House of Torture is horrendous. they're like one of the worst stables of this century for sure.
Monty, I believe the super chat you missed was from Darren Cagey, who said, Cody has always said AJ was a bucket list opponent. I'm calling it now. Rhodes vs. Styles semi-main event, night 2 of Mania.
Very spiteful.
Yeah, so shout out Darren.
Shout out Darren. Will Chisholm again, $5. Appreciate you. Cody being a shoot best man for a guy he don't know. He's a real world hero. LOL. That is why he's the WrestlePurist fans wrestler. Yeah, you know, it's why the fans love him. He loves the fans, and the fans love him. You know, so pop me. He did pop me.
Absolutely.
To see that though.
Did you see this, Joe?
I think I saw the sign. I don't know if I saw like the follow up because I saw there was a video, but I didn't watch it. But I saw the sign. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy was just like telling Cody he's gonna get married, and Cody's like, "When is that gonna happen? When's the wedding? I'll be there. Can you make it a weekday?" And the guy's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I'll be there." And then he's talking to the camera, like the WWE cameras, and he's like, "I don't even know this guy's name, but if he DMs me, like, I'll be there." So, Cody Rhodes.
Samganda Chonko, South African Rands, 70 of them. Appreciate you very much. If Heyman is booking Braun to tag with Corbin, he should put the pen down. Thoughts and backstage feelings towards Steveson over feminist rise. Or Heyman is booking Braun to tag with. What would Heyman be booking Braun to tag? Maybe that's. Go on.
I think Sam Ganda's basing that off my semi-scoop about how Heyman had an unconventional idea for Braun Breaker, but I don't think that's what this is. Braun will be tagging with Baron Corbin for NXT's World Tag League that they're starting this week. But
the Dusty Classic, man.
It's the World Tag League. I didn't care much.
Dusty Classic, you know, it's not
I didn't really care for last week's NXT, but they set up a lot of stuff for the World Tag League that was kind of interesting. Like they put Fraser and Axiom are tagging in that World Tag League, which is pretty interesting. But no, this is not Heyman's idea. And regarding Gable Steveson, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. There was an era where it was very much like Twitter's not real, and the things that people hear about guys don't make it to the arenas, right? And at least in the last few months, this has changed because Chris Jericho, the very mention of him got booed on Collision, and he was booed at the AEW pay-per-view. And now with Gable Steveson, he worked a dark match with Cedric Alexander on Friday, and he was booed the whole time. So my thoughts and feelings are he probably shouldn't be wrestling, and I think it's a good trend that American wrestling fans now don't fuck with people who are known bad people.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's weird, right? Because some cases are not that way at all. So
right.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things to say about it, but we'll get to it when we talk about SmackDown, I guess. Hush, $2 appreciated. Why is Triple H still using The Miz and not Gable in 2024? He does use Gable every week. But, you know, he still uses The Miz. It's quite nasty because Miz draws decent in like cornrows.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say he's a draw per se, but like it's not very often that he tanks one. You know,
he did pop a quarter last week. Unfortunately, his bullshit with R-Truth, like it took the number from like 1.7 to 1.8 million viewers, and
it's not like he's completely useless. I don't enjoy him too much myself, to be honest. I understand he's got quite a useful skill set in terms of like character work and stuff, but like I said, he's not really someone I personally enjoyed too much. But, you know,
yeah, I'll be honest, I went out of my way to complain about The Miz to someone in WWE Creative. I was just like, why are you subjecting me to this? You know, and I'll be honest, like I was like, why are you doing this to me? And the person was just like, look, man, if you go check his quarters, he has never tanked any single quarter he's ever been on in months, and they have it like on statistical record. And they're like, look, Mike is a professional. The fans see Mike as part of the furniture. He's just a member of the family, and he's just going to be a regular. And the fans love him, and he does good with the ratings.
Member of the family.
Yeah, they call him a member of the family. They said he's a part of the furniture. And I was just kind of like, yeah, that's great. That match sucked. And they were just like, well, what do you want us to do? You know, so yeah.
Darren KG, $2, appreciate it. Ibu on cam, the game I love is so back. New Year,
The game is
new
dead,
me.
Darren. I used to be able to finesse and multitask during these shows, and I can't anymore because now I have to sit still.
Yeah, because you actually have to podcast, you know. That's
Yeah,
not how you podcast. You know, I don't know if you've ever watched one before, but
We're busy.
people aren't walking around making grilled cheeses, doing the washing up and the dishes. Like that's not what people do during podcasting.
But the thing
Uh,
is, I was able to add expert analysis while getting stuff done.
and just think how much better your contributions are going to be now. Anyway, David Waymer, 499. Can't wait for Raw on Twitch. Resident sleepers going by in chat during a shitty match. Who knows where WWE is going to end up, man? The streaming thing does pop me, I can't lie, as a Brit. Alex Diaz 1990, 499, appreciate it. People making a big deal about Elimination Chamber being early in the USA, but Rock versus Roman would start around 11 a.m. as a main event. No big deal. Cody versus Roman at Mania. I mean, I think there is something to that, I guess, but it's not. Obviously, the time's not ideal. Like, it's just kind of, you know, you kind of have to bite the bullet if you're going to do a premium live event or a pay per view all the way in Australia. You know, so
All I know is they have 35,000 tickets to sell. They're at 35K roughly, and the capacity is 70. And look, I don't give a fuck about WWE's business. So if they want to make it convenient for me and my fandom, and get Rock out the way a month earlier, let's do that. You know, all I know is that Cody Rhodes is still tweeting Rocky pictures, and Rocky is a story that takes place in Philadelphia. Rocky won the rematch against Apollo Crews in the second movie. So yeah, whatever you want to use to justify this financially or emotionally or spiritually or narratively, be my fucking guest. As long as Roman Reigns is facing Cody Rhodes at the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania, that's fine in my book. Everybody's fan pitches and theories have been absolutely horrendous, Monty. I've seen so many pitches. Every single one of them is fucking terrible. I've seen people like, oh, what if Rock costed this guy the match and then he was like the special guest enforcer? What if Rock tagged with Jay on night 1 and did this? What if Randy beat Roman at the Rumble and then Cody finished his story facing Randy at Mania? No, fuck all these pitches. Fuck you. Stop watching wrestling and stop pitching things.
It was Apollo Creed that Rocky beat in the Apollo Crews. He was.
Did I
He
say
wasn't
Apollo Crews?
He did, yeah. But I wanted to let you finish.
All
right, so we'll get to some more super chats. Keep them coming in, and okay, we'll get because people just ask. People ask the page, like people ask the page. These people ask Ibu. People ask every scoops that today. What is going on with Mercedes Mone? Because it seems pretty like it's quite confusing, I guess, at this point. You know, I know obviously Fightful reported, I think it was like the day before New Year's Eve, that, you know, talks had broken down with WWE. But this weekend, it all became like this whirlwind again. You know, there was reports, there was comments all over the place and XYZ. So let's kind of just go over it real quick so we kind of know what, I guess we know what's being said and we can kind of speculate and I don't know if it's Mercedes. She's so unpredictable, but you know. Anyway, in the newsletter over the weekend, Dave reported that the rumor was that Mercedes would be starting with AEW shortly. The only thing that they heard is that she was in talks with WWE, and they were far apart on money. Some in WWE speculated that this could be a Punk situation where everyone denies it to lead to a Rumble surprise. Mone was talked about by others in WWE as Khan's counterpunch for losing Andrade. So that's where we started the weekend.
What? What the fuck? I love Andrade El Idolo. One of my favorite wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's be real, you know? Like,
yeah, of course. It's very funny. Very
yeah.
funny assumption by
by
the quote others in WWE that Dave has apparently spoken to.
Incredible.
So that's how we started the weekend.
Natalia and producer number 6.
Hey now, take it easy, brother. I would never blow scoops like that.
All right, so obviously there was a lot of people who were expecting that on Dynamite last Wednesday, or hoping, expecting, whatever you want to call it. You know, there was quite a lot of optimism that she might be showing up on AEW Dynamite last week, and Not according to Andrew Zarian. Anyway, he says that he did not anticipate her for last week's AEW Dynamite, and he'll tell us that based on what he knows. He thinks next week would be a little bit more realistic. I don't know if she's debuting next week on the show. Let me just put that out there. I will say it's way more realistic that she debuts next week on the show if she was debuting with them, but I think it's imminent. I think it's any week now she'll show up. If somebody asked me if I were to put a percentage on it, I would say 90. Anything could happen, but I believe it's done. That's my belief based on all the pieces I've put together.
Yeah, so I think Zarian got that from WBD. I think WBD has essentially been informed that this is going to happen. And so I think his sources are pretty good on that. Regarding what's going to happen with Mercedes, I can tell you guys this. What you guys can stop doing is the every week, okay, this is the week where she shows up thing. Most people within the business expected it to be last week, and I was led to believe it would be last week. It was not last week. I was informed very early Wednesday morning. Deanna's the surprise for Wednesday night, and that it's likely not Mercedes. And talking to people high up in AEW, and I'm talking very high up and over the weekend, what was indicated to me is this. Don't expect her on this week's Dynamite. She wasn't teased. She wasn't set up. They didn't shoot an angle where she could maybe show up in. So throw that one out, right? She's still expected in AEW. They would not give me a straight answer as to whether a pen has been put to paper. So I'm going to take a safe guess and say that has not happened. However, again, she still remains expected to be in AEW based on just the general feeling from the industry. It wasn't like framed to me as some type of deal falling through. However, it's not going to be this week, and I don't think it's any of these coming weeks as of right now. What I would personally expect is just me and my personal expectation. What I would personally expect is when she's officially going to come on a Dynamite, there's going to be a heavy indication on the TV that it's happening, whether it be an overt hint, a location, or the setup for an angle or like a named segment that obviously is paving the way for her debut. And until then, I wouldn't just go, oh, it's going to be this week in fucking Philadelphia, or oh my God, it's this week in Connecticut. So that's kind of where things stand with Mercedes Mone.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's an interesting one. It got very interesting on, I think it might have been Saturday, because PW Insider they did a report about what they heard around Christmas week, which was that communications were open between WWE and Sasha Banks about a potential return. WWE sources that several factors, including changing ownership and Paul Levesque creative regime firmly in place, set the stage for the two sides to reset the relationship and for Sasha Banks to potentially return. The company would absolutely love to have her back and have made that clear, and that at least early discussions with the sides have happened. One source in WWE felt confident about her eventual return as Sasha Banks, but cautioned that until a deal is signed, nothing is ever official. Nothing has been heard since in regard to her in AEW or New Japan. Which obviously, a lot of people kind of took that as like PW Insider saying WWE, and Sean said that the talks broke down with WWE, and why they're going against each other. And it's not really that, because you got to look at the times, PW Insider made it very clear to include that this was what they heard around Christmas week. Sean's report that WWE and Mercedes talks broke down happened, like I mentioned earlier, like around December 30th or something like that. So a decent bit of time between the times that they're referring to, So who knows? But hilariously, I thought, at least anyway, after PW Insider did that report, an AEW source reached out to say that the company has absolutely been in contact with Mercedes Moné and said, quote, "If you don't think we are in the hunt, you are crazy." That is a direct quote from somebody in AEW that reached out to PW Insider. So that was quite an interesting few hours on Twitter for the Mercedes. Where is she going? What is going on? Obviously, Ibushi just kind of gave you the, I don't know, kind of the feeling no contracts have been signed as well as we're aware of, but that's kind of the feeling as of, I guess, today or over the weekend, but Mercedes, man, it's like she's super unpredictable, and I guess it's if you want to listen to us and Ibu, it would be don't get too hyped up about seeing her until they do quite the typical thing when AEW has a big star coming in. They'll do quite a blatant hint or a really good setup for it. Sometimes the blatant hints is just kind of just a fly out, or maybe they'll book a certain venue, or do you know what I mean? Like they'll do. It seems like they're planning to do at least something, or even it's just someone doing a blatant hint in a backstage promo. Something they'll give you a bone. It seems so. Don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon, and I think that might be the better option, to be honest. Because if you look at the ticket advances, they haven't really got a venue booked that's at got advances that are looking like it's going to trend to have an audience that you'd want to put Mercedes in front of.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of few that are probably going to top out at around 3K coming up. Then obviously you got Revolution. Maybe you don't want to wait that long, so maybe there's somewhere in between. I don't know, like mid-February and Revolution where you can do it. I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to be that long until it happens, but who knows?
We have an announcement for a new match on Dynamite.
Okay, how good is it?
Oh, it's a banger. Lance Archer, Brian Cage in the Gates of Agony against Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes, Adam Copeland, and Preston Vance.
Preston.
Getting in there, God bless.
Wait, do the babyface team again?
Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes, Adam Copeland, and Preston Vance.
What? Why Preston Vance? How did he get in that match?
I don't know. I'm looking at the graphic.
Did I miss something?
I don't know.
Bro won like a lucky draw or something.
He's like posed up in the graphic like this. Like he's like I don't know.
Are him and Roosh baby faces?
I wasn't aware of this.
Who knows? Depends who he's wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the last thing also on Mercedes is, Zarian did clarify that he has no clue when the debut is actually scheduled, but he was told very soon. It could be next week or it could be a few weeks out. He has no insight on an actual date currently. Sean clarified that his reporting on Mercedes has always been accurate, and the report from PW Insider does not conflict with his info. Not sure why people are acting like it does. Fightful learned on December 29th that WWE and Mercedes were no longer in talks, and later learned she was expected to go to AEW. So that's Mercedes. And until you get a big hint or like a really big report that, she's, reportedly signed a contract or something, I guess. What do you want from us? If you ask us again, if we keep getting asked what's going on with Mercedes, it's very much like the Punk thing, where like that's the thing that everybody wants to know. She seems to be on a lot of thumbnails lately. She's always a subject, and it's pretty much always the same thing where I think I've said that she's unpredictable about 100 times already in 2024. So,
what makes it annoying is that because people feel like they need like a constant daily update on situations that are just what they are at the moment, it puts the media in a place where lesser reporters are going to just feel like they have to have a new answer of some kind. And so, like, you get these like just nothing reports on a daily basis. Sometimes like, it'll be like, well, I heard from another person in All Elite Wrestling who believes that this could be the date where this and that. And it's just very like minimal stuff with very little new information. And it's just to feed into the cycle of people who need new answers. And the fact of the matter is when something concrete happens that's a legitimate update, you're going to hear from like everybody. But until then, people are going to be like I said, like people are going to go, oh, well, I don't know. I can tell you that this. And then it gets aggregated, whatever that this is, and it's like a fucking offhanded line from a show or something. And I don't know. The bottom line is, like Monty just said, she comes when she comes. It's not this week. So
there you have it. See a few more super chats. Keep them coming, people. Corey David, $2 appreciated. Thoughts on Dempsey's 8 All Japan matches? I mean, Ibu did a pretty long breakdown, but yeah, man, he's looking good out there, brother.
Yeah.
Songanda Chanko 75. Fuck, I forgot it already. What was it? Do any of you guys remember?
Absolutely not.
Just $35.
South
I'm buying them dollars.
American something.
Did
South
Orton
African.
refuse to job to Roman Reigns? The
Black and gold.
B&G Black and gold women don't impress me. I'd replace them with Ariana Grace, Lola Voice, Roxanne, Tiffany Stratton, attractive and far more interesting. Ariana Grace has still got quite a way to go because she was out for so long with that knee injury. So like at the very start of her like training and getting into like the WWE system, it was very it got cut short, and now she's coming along. So way too early for Ariana, I'd say. Lola Voice as well. She's had a solid rookie year, but it's a solid rookie year. It's not a solid
She could be on weekly TV having wrestling matches type of thing.
Who are the black and gold women in question?
Tegan.
Okay, like Tegan, Candice, and
yeah, probably. I'd
Mia
assume.
or not Mia.
Mia Yimi's a black and gold.
Mia,
Mia Yimi's black and gold. But some of these have been performing well. It's a mixed bag, I want to group them together as like the black and gold women, Rhea Ripley's a black and gold woman,
Most of them are.
That's exactly so. But yeah, Roxanne, I want. She's definitely TV ready in terms of in-ring ability. Look, she's tremendous, but I think as a character, she's still got some progress that she's very capable of making down in NXT. So, and I think she has been in recent months. So, and Tiffany Stratton is probably the one that I would say is pretty made. Yeah, probably closest, if not already main roster ready. But yeah.
Regarding Randy, I don't know what happened there. All I know is that Roman finally lost a creative battle, or maybe, if I wanted to be conspiratorial, perhaps Roman Reigns has a much bigger battle to fight in a few months. That he decided I will give them this one. That man, Paul Heyman definitely was like, Roman, listen, don't fuck the Royal Rumble. Fuck the Rumble. Who cares what we do with the Rumble? It's about Mania. Fuck Cody Rhodes. We'll get Brock. We'll get them to do this match. Oh, and Roman's like, yeah, look how that sounds. Yeah, hold on, man. We don't talk to Hunter on that one. So, yeah, he took the L on this, and he's doing a multi-man, even though that's against his religion. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Hush $2. Are they doing Drew versus Punk at Elimination Chamber? Who would win?
I have no idea.
Punk's
not losing for Mania, though.
Yeah, I would avoid doing that because Punk's not losing, and I think Drew's lost enough at this point.
Jumanji Hunter, $5. Appreciate it. I like Athena. The 7 times I've seen her last year, ain't no way that many people are watching ROH. Put her on AEW so she rightfully earned Women's Wrestler of the Year. Well, she rightfully won it yesterday because people voted for her. And she won it, So, and to be honest, it's good that she won it in spite of the reasons that you just put in there. It makes it even more impressive, if anything, So, especially rightfully won,
I think we all agree with the put on AEW TV.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Put her on, get her on there, and she'll win it. Hopefully, by more comfortably, Jacob Donnelly, $5. Appreciate it. I think we get a Punk and Dom promo tonight to set up Punk's first TV match next week. I've heard good things about their house show matches. Fun house show matches from what I hear, just proper house show match, Hot heel, hot baby face, kind of fucking around out there, Good time. Hush $2. Appreciate it. Ibu, Cody winning your number one priority in wrestling.
Yes.
Please. I guess that's pretty fair. WrestlePurists Fabrizio Romano, $5. Appreciate it. Mercedes AEW talks ongoing. No, here we go yet. It's probably pretty accurate if you're familiar with Fabrizio. Hush $2. Appreciate it. How bad would it be if she showed up at the Royal Rumble? depends on who. Depends where you want her to show up, brother. You know, there's a lot of WWE fans that thinks if she shows up on a Dynamite, that would be tragic as well. So it's I think both pop me. So
it would be quite a night on social media. Lena, if you're watching, just know that I will troll you.
Will choose and $5, appreciate it. I bet if Mercedes don't pop up in AEW by the Rumble, they're going to start saying she might be a Rumble doll rise.
True.
Is that a word?
I think
Will was going for surprise.
Stupid?
No, I think Will was going for surprise. I think so.
That's an incredible typo.
And he's right. Let's be real. If he's indeed saying surprise, Will is right. That will be. If you think this is the last thing we're doing, Mercedes, if she's not in AEW by Rumble Week, I promise you there'll be a 1,000,001 super chats in that regard. So he's right.
Is she gonna be at the Rumble? Brrr, fucking every super chat, you know. Sean's like, I don't know. Listen, I've asked about Mercedes, and
that was kind of crazy. Christian was kind of crazy, bro.
I've asked people in WWE. I've asked people close to Mercedes. I can't confirm or deny what's happening with her at the Rumble. I've asked everybody in WWE, and look, I
didn't know Dax was doing scoops these days.
Bro. You know, Dax would be like, "Look, I don't know what I don't know what's going on with Mercedes. Look, man, me and Cash, we love Mercedes. You know, we've been close since back in gold. You know, I don't know. You know, my daughter loves Mercedes. She's a big fan."
Anyways, keep it moving. Keep the super chats coming, of course. Much appreciated, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Next thing I want to talk about is, we kind of touched on it with the All Japan stuff, but WWE apparently wants some allies in Japan. Ibu and Joe, the report from the newsletter, Dave Meltzer writes, Paul Levesque and perhaps Nick Khan are looking at Japanese allies for WWE going forward, with the step 1 with All Japan this week, and are looking for a women's group ally as well. There has been talks internally of them trying to make another go with New Japan now that Hiroshi Tanahashi is president. Looking for allies, Joe.
Allies in Japan is one of the more outrageous things ever said about wrestling. The All Japan thing, I'm not changing my stance on until I see otherwise. This feels like one of those deals that will quickly just kind of fade. I'm convinced of it. I think it meant the most to Regal to get his son booked there. And I think once we go beyond that, I think it will be one of those things that kind of goes to the background. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll be a healthy and prosperous relationship. I have my doubts, but we'll see. The Stardom thing doesn't add up to me. It never has added up. So this is very much a case of, for me personally, I'll believe it when I see it in terms of something that's sustained and like, you know, a real relationship, not a one-off or whatever. So yeah, that's where I'm at personally. I understand why people get kind of concerned and hysterical about these things. WWE have earned that reputation, so I get it, but I'm not getting there based on this. Like, allies in Japan, I'm good. Let's see what happens.
Kyle in the chat has me dying. He says another Joe Holbert prediction in the books.
Look, man, we're turning it around. Deonna Purrazzo was the first of a new era. You know, we're turning it around.
Yes. New year, new predictions. You know. But yeah, Ivo, do you think WWE is trying to kill the Japanese wrestling scene?
I mean, if they could, they would. But like, I don't know. Nakajima made a weird statement that maybe it's alluding to something. Maybe it's just waffle, where he basically said, perhaps I should go over there and, you know, see what's going on. Like, it is weird. Like, maybe I should pass by NXT. And it was like, huh? And people were like, have you ever even seen the show? And probably not. But I don't know, man. Sean Ross Sapp asked people in WWE about the Stardom thing, and they're like, what are you talking about? So
it doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't, like.
I get this weird feeling that Paul Levesque, I'm just being completely honest, I think Paul Levesque was just talking to Dave on the phone. I think he just started just doing that thing that dudes do. He was just kind of like, I mean, yeah, man, I love Japan. I mean, look, I'm looking to work with Stardom, you know. And Dave's like, oh yeah, you know, maybe, you know, and it's just waffling a little bit. All Japan, there's something more concrete and tangible there for sure. I did ask about the All Japan thing, and they did tell me that the status of that one is basically based on how good the Charlie thing goes, and it went pretty well, like from what I'm seeing. So, could I see him get booked again for another tour? 100%. Could I see a different NXT wrestler get booked for an All Japan tour? maybe.
It feels like the kind of thing that's like it could be a loose alliance when they want to get guys a tour. I just can't see it becoming. And again, I know we have fun about my predictions, so I could be miles off. I don't know, but I don't see it being something that's like this big deal. Personally,
I agree.
That could change,
I agree. What I will say is it was pretty surreal, Joe, on NXT. Vic Joseph did say Charlie Dempsey of the No Quarter Cash Crew is in Japan right now wrestling for All Japan Pro Wrestling. And I was like, what the fuck? And like Booker just is kind of like, yeah, everybody's doing their thing right now. Everybody's getting in position. And I'm like, okay.
What if we were talking earlier about the G192 final with Dusty in the crowd?
Yeah.
What if Booker is the NXT representative? We get him. Oh, come on, man! Imagine the facial expression.
Booker's in front of the Japanese media. He's like, I've always liked Japan. I wrestled a tour in New Japan back in 1996 with my brother, and you wrestled the Steiner brothers. Oh man, So yeah, we'll see what the fuck happens.
Yeah, we'll see. And I guess talking of more international WWE related news, Giulia's, according to Dave Melton in Observer News, Giulia's contract with Stardom expires in March. As of right now, she's not leaving in March, but those in WWE are of the belief, as are others, that she will be in WWE before the end of 2024. He also went on to write that the reason that Donna Del Mondo, her group, disbanded was a decision made to get ahead of things, as Bushi Road was told by Giulia that she won't be signing a new contract when her deal is up in March. In March, she will take some time off wrestling to extensively study English, so that isn't perceived as a negative for her when she arrives in WWE. It won't be straight to WWE, but her plan right now would be later in 2024, and she may do some wrestling in Japan later in the year before eventually leaving. Then Sean on Fox Select reported that it's widely expected by those within WWE that Giulia would go to NXT and the Performance Center unless she was prepared on things necessary for the main roster ahead of time. So, be interesting if and when she actually does show up in WWE. Because apparently, she's contracted till March. Still got a little bit of time to wait. Can't see it being a Rumble thing unless it comes to some sort of agreement.
I don't think so.
But I don't really see that.
She'll probably sit in the front row for the NXT show that WrestleMania weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's generally how they used to do those things. And this is very much a signing that feels like it's from that era, right? So that's why I think
they did that last year's Mania weekend for Dragon Lee.
There you go. Yeah, that seems like the safest prediction, which I just made it so it's no longer a safe prediction.
Indeed. Listen, WWE officials are very they admire the fact that she's really, really dead set on like learning English, like learning English. They just think that's like really, really cool that she's like going that hard about it. She'll be there at some point in the year. We'll see when it is, but that appears to be something that she really wants to hammer in before she goes over there.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, Sean said that.
I
can't remember what the wording was, but like apparently, she's got pretty decent comprehension skills, better than some people, better than some people who are born over here. So
that's what WWE said. WWE said to Sean, like, her English comprehension is better than some of our roster, basically.
But she, if I remember correctly, in a recent interview herself, she said that her English isn't that great at the moment. Obviously, she grew up around some English speakers, of course, but she thought her English was better than what it was, and when she came over more recently, she struggled more than expected. So it seems like her herself wants to brush up on her English more than anything, which is good, because obviously it's going to help her quite a lot. So,
WWE told Sean that they have the resources for her if she needs help with that.
Yeah, of course, and you'd expect them to as well. You'd expect them to. So we'll see if Giulia shows up. Obviously, it doesn't surprise. I don't think it surprised any of us three that she'll be starting on NXT. I know a few people kind of turn their nose up at that, but I think it's what should be the move if she's coming into WWE. That she does a little, a couple months at least, just to get used to the hard cam, brother. Those angles,
What pops me is like there is diversity within the WWE's Japanese talent in terms of like who actually cares to learn English and who doesn't give a shit. Like
Yes.
EO, for example, like when I was talking to people in the company, they're like, she doesn't speak English and doesn't really care to learn that much. She just knows enough to communicate with Bailey, and she's kind of like, all right, you know. But like, then there's like people like Tozawa who like fucking Rosetta Stone the shit out of English, like when they first came in and stuff like that. And like Tozawa's English is apparently like really good. Like take TV Tozawa out of it, who's kind of playing up a character. Like in real life, apparently you can have a full on English conversation with him, which is just fascinating to me. And then there's like Nakamura, who's like kind of in the middle. So you know,
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see. We'll see where she ends up, and I guess we'll see how good her English is when she cuts that first promo on NXT, brother. You know.
she pops on. She's like, "Hello, my name is Giulia, and I'm a part of NXT." You're like, "Okay."
She's got a Jersey accent.
Oh my god! Let me tell you about the family. You know.
Anyway, another potential incoming for WWE is Trinity, formerly known as Naomi, potentially going back to being known as Naomi. But yeah, Trinity will return to WWE shortly after finishing up with TNA. WWE sources said it was expected, and in the current plans, there had been unofficial talks with her dating back nearly a year. That was from Dave. PW Insider said WWE sources have confirmed Trinity Naomi is expected to return with the company when she's done with TNA. One source believes she could be back as soon as the end of January. So yeah, I think Sean put something out about it as well. So everyone's saying the same thing pretty much. You know, she's gonna finish up with TNA and she's gonna be WWE pretty soon. So I hope she's getting paid, man. I hope she's getting paid. And good for her, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like this went from 0 to 100 in like an instant, right? It was like it was like the story was there, and as you said, everyone had it. A couple of things. Like, obviously I'm happy for her, and hopefully she has a nice run. It has to be said though, that TNA rebrand is we had to have fun with that when it was announced. But as we approach the show, which I believe is this weekend, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many bits are actually going to come to fruition there at all.
I'm like looking at the card, like Moose is on it and stuff, and it's like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm happy for her.
Can't win them all.
Who's the big signing, do you guys think? I think it's Mustafa Ali.
I don't think it's Dolph anymore.
I don't think it's Dolph either. Ali feels like a lock for AEW to me.
Then who can it be?
Exactly, if it's not him. I just think to me, that's the kind of blueprint of a guy. Like, the audience thinks that he was misused in WWE. He's not an older dude necessarily either. Just always felt natural to me, you know?
He's jacked as well now.
Yeah, he always did.
He has been eating his vitamins, so kudos to him for that.
And it must be. And also, that was the immediate, when the releases happened, the immediate buzz was in that direction too. That may have changed. I haven't really thought about much since then, but initially that was the buzz.
You know what's funny about it, Joe? Initially, Scott D'Amore was saying this is going to be the biggest signing in TNA history. And then he said it was a huge signing. And I think recently, either it was on Busted Open or some place like that, they asked him about it, and he was like, well, I mean, it's a signing. It's a pretty big signing.
That's the thing. Like,
he immediately kind of scaled it down.
Look, obviously he's a promoter, so I mean, it is what it is. But the biggest signing in TNA history was always like, there's nothing on the board that matches that. You know, it's not even that it needed to be a Kurt Angle signing, but there's nothing that's even in the same realm. You know, so that never made sense.
Mercedes.
But they're not going to look.
I know, but I was saying, like, in terms of free agent.
I think they have got themselves financially in a position where they could pay someone like pretty well. They're not talking about, Mercedes is talking about some very different kind of figures. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Goldberg.
Imagine. You know what? Fuck it.
It's Goldberg and Goldberg and Ronda Rousey are the big two of TNA. It's a new era, brother.
What if it's Ronda?
Shooters, brother.
Oh my god. That could be funny, like, ironically. What if?
Yeah, of course.
I thought of something. What if they? What if MJF got impacted on his work? Because he's currently a free agent right now.
That would actually be pretty sick, actually.
You know,
Like, it's silly, but at least it would be,
I don't think they'll do it. AEW and Impact haven't worked together for a while, have they?
yeah, they don't. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, if AEW called Cena up and said, we want to do this MJF story that no one buys, will you let us, you use MJF on your show? I think they'll take it, to be honest. I could be wrong. I mean,
the funniest thing about that, Joe. So, when I was being brought to my seat at Dynamite by someone at AEW, I made a name dropped MJF, and then the person says, "Well, he's not with us anymore," and then immediately have to turn away from me to hide them, like their laughter. Like they were like, "Oh, he's not with us anymore." Did like that thing.
so, like, genuinely, is this a bubble thing where we're all in so deep that none of us buy it, or like it feels like no one buys it at all?
No, nobody buys it.
No one. This
No,
isn't
of
even a
course they
thing of
don't.
like, right? I just don't.
What would they? They haven't really give you a lot to like. Do you know what I mean?
I just don't know why they're
Like,
doing it. I don't know why
it's
they're
just
bothering.
occasional references. It's really weird. Oh yeah, and he's been taken off the AEW roster. Oh,
This feels kind of like a I don't know.
They should
Anyway,
at least they should run like a thank you package or some shit. I don't know. Like,
hey, at least try sell it, you know. Anyway, a couple more contract news, I guess. WWE sources confirmed that a WWE NXT deal was offered to former NWA Women's Champion Camille. That was from PW Insider. Clark Connor's New Japan contract recently expired, and there's a few other of the like younger guys in New Japan. His contracts are apparently up or coming
the
up. I
Bullet
think
Club Wardlow
Alex
guy.
Coughlin, his contract is up or coming up recently. Sean Rossap just dropped that. Gabe Kidd's contract's coming up recently. So it seems like New Japan needs to kind of, unless they're letting these people go, which I don't think is the case as of right now, they just need to kind of get the shit together and get these contracts signed and sealed up. Because I can imagine there is quite a lot of a frustration in that regard. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with them. We'll see what happens with them. Gabe Kidd in AEW or something like that, or on NXT, could very much be something I'd enjoy.
Yeah.
Sure, but
I'd much rather he stay where he's at. You know.
yeah,
If they don't want to pay,
Yeah, if he's got a real chance to really make it there, you know, and not
it'd
end
be
up on
way
a
better for
WrestlePurist.
him.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and not end up on the WrestlePurist underrated list again. You know. Then
I hope New Japan
absolutely.
takes care of these guys, and I hope that they ascend
Yes, sir.
further in 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just hope they get looked after, you know.
For sure.
If they're
for
not,
sure.
then,
Yeah, we're talking just selfishly as fans, because I don't know what the situation is, what offers there. But as fans, that squad getting broken up and spread across the big two in the States is like, it just feels, I think it's bad for
Not
everyone,
ideal.
really. Yeah, I think as talents, Gabe Kidd especially, his ceiling is super high in Japan, you know? A lot left for him to do,
If
man.
they
He's
actually
started.
go with him, that's always been my worry with Kid. It's like he's shown them stuff for a couple of years now. Do you know what I mean? But it's like
Yeah, but
it never
I think
feels like it always feels like he's trying to get himself over with a chip on his shoulder rather
I
than
get
like
it.
them actually giving him something.
I
What
just
have
don't
they
know how
actually
much,
given?
I don't know
You
what
know?
other choice they have. But, I mean, if you look at the kind of landscape, it kind of feels there's a natural ascension for him there, to me. But,
Hopefully.
yeah.
But obviously, you'd assume they're probably going to prioritize the Musketeers.
Listen,
other
in
people. So.
historically in New Japan, they do sometimes drag their feet on pushing people. I mean, Hiroshi
Sure.
Tanahashi broke away. Hiroshi Tanahashi became the straight up, like, super defined ace of New Japan at the age of 32. And these guys are in their mid 20s. Tanahashi was in New Japan system for 10 years when he was 100% given the keys to the promotion. Not that I'm saying that that's necessarily ideal. You know, there's been some times where like the long approach is beneficial, but so I'm just sure.
I do think in Gabe's case though, I don't think there's a rush either. You know, like I think the War Dogs tag team was a good thing for him, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, let's talk a little bit about the weekend then. So, SmackDown. We'll start with SmackDown because it happened first over the weekend, and as mentioned in the super chat, and it's been mentioned a few times since on social media and stuff. And when it happened, Gable Steveson wrestled a dark match before the show or after the show, sometime on the show, and I just don't know what the thinking at this point. I thought that like the Baron Corbin thing was as much of a let's try it and see what happens as they would have needed to kind of, you know, stop this Gable Steveson experiment. Because as it been mentioned earlier on the show, that like once upon a time with wrestling crowds, it was very much like, oh, Twitter's not real, the internet's not real, and all these like kind of all these kind of people that have allegations against them or anything like that, like they'll just come out and the crowd will still pop for them like nothing could happen. Whereas in more recent years, it's like you can't really get away with that. Look at the example of Chris Jericho getting just his name being mentioned on Collision got quite loud boos on Collision on Saturday. Gable Steveson in said dark match that we're talking about now, they booed the shit out of him. Like they were like cheering, they were cheering so much for Cedric Alexander just to kind of pop themselves, not to take anything away from Cedric, but like the crowd aren't trying. No real crowds are trying to see Gable Steveson. So like the start of the experiment where it was in NXT, it's their kind of controlled crowd, and the NXT crowd, as we all know, they kind of just go along with whatever they feel like they're supposed to. So they got away with kind of just putting Gable Steveson without getting all crazy negative reactions. The second they tried to put him in front of I guess a real crowd on that NXT PLE, they booed the shit out of they booed the absolute shit out of him. They weren't trying to see him. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody wants to see this guy. So I was actually quite shocked that they even tried to do like, I know it was only a dark match, but even still, like, why are they even still like trying with this guy? Like, I mean, it's super unfortunate that he's like that he's the sort of person that has these kind of allegations against him, because obviously if you're just looking at it from like an athletic point of view, he's an Olympic gold medalist, the UFC wanted him, WWE wanted him, and he was this highly sought after athlete, and I guess you'd assume that they've invested quite heavily in him, but sometimes you just got to cut your losses, man. Like you can't just power through something like this and just be like, oh, now we'll figure it out because we've made the investment. Now it's like, no, sometimes you just got to cut your losses, especially when it's something like the allegations against him were quite like disgusting. And, obviously there's talk of like, there was like a loophole in the law for what he got off. And there's all kinds of like, you'll probably find a million takes on it and why he didn't get off or whatever the fuck. But at the end of the day, the crowds clearly know about the allegations and such, and they are in no mood to try and get behind him. So why even try and turn him? You should have learnt your lesson at least from the Baron Corbin thing. I mean, ideally, I know I'm waffling on a bit, but like, ideally, he wouldn't have been even in the NXT shows, and they would have just, as soon as that came to attention, because obviously you'd assume WWE know about it. That would have just been like, wow, this is an investment that is just never going to work. But they tried it in front of the NXT crowd, and they tried putting him in front of a real live crowd, and it didn't work. So again, quite stunned that they even are trying to kind of boot this Gable Steveson project up again. It's quite disappointing, and I know it's wrestling, but even still, hopefully they've actually learned this time from the reaction that he got in his match versus Cedric. So,
I think he's going to get released imminently, to be honest with you. There's a thing they do sometimes where like they get a last look at somebody that they're going to cut. And I say this because Sean decided after the Corbin match that he was just like, and this is, if I'm being honest, like, they're probably just like with Sean. I know he decided he was done with him just purely from a performance thing. It wasn't like a moral reason. He wasn't like, oh, now I've decided to take this thing. It was just like there were these things, right? I think with Hunter, he was just like, all right, let me, because he flew him to TV like 2 weeks in a row to talk to him. And I think, honestly, what they did was they wanted to get a last look at him before they really make their mind up, so to speak. But my genuine prediction is that he's probably getting cut imminently. With that said, I mean, the stance remains the same about Gable Steveson. I actually I didn't know about his baggage when I first heard about him. And I got like kind of excited because I was like, oh, my God, like this new amateur Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, same.
Oh, man, this is great, right? And then, like, I saw people in comments talking about him and shit, and I read into it. I was like, that really fucking sucks. But once that happened, it was just like, all right, well, then.
It's over.
Yeah, like, you just shouldn't be in wrestling. But I also just am aware of the game that we're in, and that, unfortunately, in this industry, wrestling is unbelievably spotty, even in today's day and age, when it comes to taking stands against that type of thing. And yeah, he's getting this opportunity that he shouldn't be, and there's tons of other people that are much more deserving that have no allegations to their name, and so yeah, he just shouldn't be platformed. I don't want to see him, and I think the sooner that they get him out of there, the better, and that's kind of where I stand with that. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to think the way you did, but where you are now, in thinking like, yeah, he's probably going to get released imminently, was where I was at after the Baron Corbin match, and it didn't happen, and now they've
I
done
knew I
this.
knew he would. I knew he wouldn't because they said when what they told me was Sean is done with him, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what's gonna happen. Hunter's gonna fly him out of TV and make him do a dark match and like fucking talk to him and shit before he does that. Because his whole thing is that he's not big on. He doesn't like just releasing people that he isn't. You know, he just doesn't like releasing people in general. So it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you know, fuck Gable Steveson, and he shouldn't be in pro wrestling.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
Razar says,
Non-starter, you know.
was Gable a Vince project? Nick Khan talked Vince McMahon into signing him because of his pedigree.
Yeah, bro, he was like an industry target, you know, like
UFC wanted him
in
as well.
combat sports, you know, like UFC were interested in him. WWE, of course, that's where he ended up going. But I think any of the other MMA promotions like PFL, obviously Bellator don't exist anymore, but you've got like other ones internationally as well. I'm sure they would have absolutely loved to have had him at that time. And unfortunately, there probably is still quite a few MMA promotions that would probably swoop him up pretty quickly, to be honest, because of said
UFC
pedigree.
would. UFC would right now.
Wouldn't surprise me, unfortunately.
Are you kidding me?
There's been, genuinely, it's been a long time since I think a lot of us first heard that they were not really convinced this project would pay off. And we need to stress very little of it is about morality at all. Even mentioned this earlier. The word has been for a long time he's not a natural when it comes to pro wrestling, and they kind of lost faith in him as a project. The reason I stress that is because, unfortunately, the reality of this is if he was a natural and he was very charismatic and very
They would
dynamic,
just no sell this.
he would just be on TV as a heel.
Yes.
So I say all that to say, like, it's, you know, it's a very shitty situation to talk about in that, like, the reason he's likely to, you know, have a short time in WWE has nothing to do with the actual serious concerns and issues that are being brought up here. It's just because he's not a natural when it comes to pro wrestling. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, fuck that guy. Smackdown. I mean, we ain't going to do like a segment by segment discussion about any of the shows from the week, and we'll just talk more highlights. So,
I thought this was a good episode.
Yeah, Ibi, what did you like about it?
It was just a very polished show that just kind of got to the point and got to business.
It did.
When you watch the show, you realize that like a lot of what they do on their normal non-specials is just like kind of superfluous. Even when it comes to just relaying information to the audience, it's things that like you could just simply get out via commentary. They didn't do the typical 20-minute Bloodline Open, and you realize that like you don't need to do that just because it's the formula. You know, Roman Reigns is just as effective coming out of a car like he did in this week's show, where he comes out of a car. Caleb Braxton's like, "Yo, what do you think about The Rock?" And he's like, he just laughs it off, walks away, resurfaces in the final minute of the show to beat the shit out of the good guys. And Roman Reigns came off just as big, just as imposing, just as dominant, and he lost nothing from that. So I love the format because they got right to the wrestling. They had these 3 really good vignettes individually focused on the 3 competitors of the main event, breaking up the matches. And I thought that was effective. They finally officially, the one promo segment that they did do live, it was for Lashley and the Profits to officially turn babyface and state their goals for 2024, which is effective. They debuted the new Cross stable. I don't care for Cross, but I love AOP. So we'll see how that thing goes. And then when it comes to the matches, the Santos KO match was fine. I wasn't as high on that as other people, but
yeah, it's pretty decent. It was nothing. I think they've got better in them, but it was pretty decent.
Yeah, what I was into actually was Mia Yim versus Io. I got into this match. I don't know. I just
You did.
It got really good. And I say that very specifically that it got really good because I didn't think it started really good.
You know what it was?
Yeah.
It opened and like Mia's work was like a little loose. You know, it was a little loose at the beginning, and Io was the one who was kind of sharp and locked in. But like through sheer force of will and the fact that Mia just kind of went for it throughout the whole match with the dives and some of that stuff that she did, it just kind of turned into a really cool match for me. She did her second dive. She face plants the floor.
That was awesome.
Unhinged, and then Io meteors her on the barricade. Even before that, Io gave her a German on the apron, springboard drop kick, went for the moonsault, and Mia got the knees up, got her up for a dragon suplex. I was like, yo, they're wrestling out here. I came to the conclusion last week, Monty, that last week was one of the better weeks for main roster women's wrestling between that match, the overachieving Rhea Ripley Ivy Nile match, and Becky versus Nia Jax, which was like genuinely like really good.
Solid, good stuff.
Yeah, so
some really
good stuff. Yeah. I like Mia Yim, who's severely underpushed in the company. And in the main event, I thought the main event was a lot of fun, super heated. Randy Orton just straight up rocks. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna just come out and say, 2022 onward, Randy Orton is a great wrestler. I don't care who argues with me about this. I don't care who disputes it.
I hate when he says like this not hot take, like it's some statement. Like Randy Orton fucking rules, bro. Like everyone loves him now. You know, it's just everyone loves him. It's Randy Orton, brother.
For sure. I just thought the match was a lot of fun. AJ was like surprisingly more interesting and entertaining than I expected him to be, because I don't really enjoy modern AJ anymore. But something about like steroid AJ doing 450s just kind of rocked to me. And there was a lot of heat, and LA Knight started bleeding. So I thought there was enough there in that three-way to tell me that the four-way with Roman's at least going to be pretty interesting. Because if nothing else, I know that I'm getting a Roman match on pay-per-view that's not going to be the normal Roman formula. And so for that reason, I'm actually pretty much looking forward to the stadium version of this plus Roman Reigns. And I thought the Bloodline beatdown at the end of the show was the best Bloodline beatdown.
It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, the triple threat match, very good stuff. Of course, as Ibu mentioned, ends up in the Bloodline beatdown. Nick Aldis is watching like an angry teacher, not impressed, and he, at the end of the show, he kind of walks over to Paul Heyman and says, "Yeah, man, you got a fatal four-way now at the Rumble, so good luck with that." So yeah, we got a fatal four-way at the Royal Rumble.
That was very well done. That Aldis thing. I didn't like the match as much as Ibu did. I get why it popped him. This was one of those weird crowds, and this is definitely a thing that's more common in WWE. I mean, it is what it is, but like they very much are there to react to like the familiar, when LA Knight does his thing, they'll go, but like when they're just watching the guys grapple, it's kind of. I thought it was a tough crowd. Poor Mia, like she was working from zero, right, in that regard.
Absolutely, yeah.
As a fan of her, I was happy the match went well in the second half in particular. And she kind of got herself over in the match. But I really want them to give her something creatively, like give her like an angle or something, or tell her a story. I don't know. But yeah, I like both matches. The AJ Styles look is very uncomfortable and unsettling, and we need to do something about it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it myself, to be honest.
He looks like Taiji Ishimori, where he's like this short, stocky, buff dude, and like these like jeans. So yeah.
Talking of looks, though, you did
wait. One more thing, Tyler Bate. He made his main roster debut on Friday, and I've been kind of down on Tyler in recent years, and I think Butch has become a better, more put together television wrestler, which is shocking because I think years ago Tyler was far just clear of Pete Dunne. But I saw them how they were working together against Pretty Deadly, and I was like, man, they still do have some tag chemistry. So I think that's going to add some nice tag depth to their division. And when you think about it in kayfabe, Nick Aldis is kind of a monster. I mean, this guy's added Tyler Bate, Dragon Lee, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Kairi Sane.
It does pop me because there is a lot of fans that actually tweet about Nick Aldis. Like, I saw someone, not one of the big WWE fan accounts, like Nick Aldis has done such a good job with SmackDown. And it's like,
I saw a guy say like he's turned the tide since he's come. SmackDown's a better show, and I'm like, okay,
God bless.
Maybe you should hear him out, bro. Maybe you should hear him out.
He is a producer. He actually did start producing, coinciding with him becoming the GM, which is pretty good. So I like the show.
Yeah, man. Authors of Pain with Paul Ellering, the back part of Karrion Kross's and Scarlett's new group. That's it seems like it's going to be the new heel group on SmackDown. See where it goes.
They are the final testament, Monty.
Listen, after that beatdown, they look like monsters. You know,
Do they not have heat at all for the insane UK show that they were like part of?
They do.
Because
They
I feel
do.
like someone back in the day they probably would have got the shit kicked out of them. I feel. I mean, I wouldn't want to try and do that. I wouldn't recommend it.
Joe,
oh,
guess what?
that might be like
The
how it
reason,
is. You know,
I
it's
have
just
a
like,
scoop
you got
there.
a problem with them, go tell them.
Yeah.
You know,
You have a scoop?
I have a scoop actually. Part of their delayed debut was because many people in the company last year, before these recent releases, were owed money by the authors of pain. So,
well,
some of which have been
promotion,
released 2 months ago.
You know,
Sure.
and whatever LLCs or
The
whatever was going on
promotion.
there. You know,
Promotion.
I'm going to
I
take this.
forgot what it was called, Joe. You know, but
I'm
we
gonna take
we
this-
broke it down, so it was valid enough.
There
for
was
that.
no promotion.
the Super World Entertainment Series or whatever it was called.
It
I
was
was
called
so
some
ready for that
bullshit
show.
like that.
One of the early non-named worldwides, we were on here talking about how we were so locked in on that, and Alistair Overeem versus Strowman. So
True.
I'll tell you what,
Um,
I don't care for Cross, but it's Paul Ellering and the AO and Authors of Pain. So I saw these guys, and they just look great, you know.
They look like beasts, bro. Cross with the
Very,
AOP next to them look like monsters. Looked
Yes, they
like
do.
monsters.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it actually plays out when they're properly in play. But yeah, SmackDown was pretty decent, man. Randy Orton did a 5-minute entrance as well, which
He didn't take a bump in the match.
no, he took one
When?
on the table.
Correct. He AJ reversed and backdropped him. Yes,
had to
he
think
did take
about
a.
it.
He did take that funny blunt force trauma too. Where he kind of just stayed.
Oh my god!
Anyway,
LA
enough-
Knight hit
anyway.
that. They gasped when he hit that. Randy fell down. They were scared. It was like when you see like your dad or something, stumble. It's like fuck, you know.
Actually,
They
you know
wasn't
what?
concerned. They don't want to see the great man fall. You know.
No, they don't. There's a third bump. Sorry, Randy shoots Knight off. Knight makes it back to him, and then he really smoothly catches him for like a white Russian leg sweep and yanks him back. And I was like,
He
"Yo,
did.
all right,
He's got some nice offense, bro. He
yeah,
has got some nice offense.
y'all people play with Knight, you know, and they do the whole he's shit, he's this and that. I would absolutely watch him over certain people, and that's all I'm gonna say.
All right, let's talk Rampage and Collision then. Kind of just highlights
Let's do it.
from there. So there weren't really much on Rampage, to be honest. The main thing I saw people posting about was Stokely Hathaway's introduction for Chris Statlander and Willow, which, you know, Stokely's
Yes.
just great, you know. One of the few people in wrestling that's like legitimately funny, like not in the ha wrestling way. Like he's just a funny guy, you know. But
For sure.
shout out Stoke. But yeah, Collision. We had Darby and Sting with Ric Flair, which, you know, is whatever you want to make of it. Versus the Workhorseman. A lot of people were popping for that graphic. You know, it's cool to see them get like a big match on TV. It didn't go very long, but still, you know.
Yeah.
Continental title, New Japan Strong Openweight title, ROH World title match. Eddie Kingston versus Trent. This is good stuff, brother. You know, Trent ran the blade in North Carolina. You know, this is at the Bojangles Coliseum, Joe Hulbert. You know, Trent made it real out there. I know you like this one.
I did, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of expected to. I think Trent is, while I understand he's not, you know, he doesn't really need a bigger role than he has because he's not the most dynamic personality necessarily on TV. I always enjoy his effort in these matches, and this was no different. Eddie here kind of leaning further in the direction that we saw him take against Garcia in the Continental Classic, where he was kind of working as like an aggressive, spiteful veteran, roughing up a contender. That was very much, I thought he was very compelling here in that regard. It was an awkward crowd dynamic, and the people want to cheer Eddie. So that, you know, it was a little rough around the edges in that sense, but the work I thought was really on point. And Trent came up covered in blood and was selling and fighting back. I mean, I really thought they had a nice match here. I thought it really exceeded expectations, and I thought it would be good. But yeah, this was a hell of a match.
What did you make of the Adam Copeland Open Challenge, which was answered by Griff Garrison?
Well, the Cope Open is very funny to begin with, but I got to be honest, and maybe I'm being generous. I probably am. I had a really good time with Collision. mostly because I consume it like it's a podcast featuring Nigel McGuinness. But I actually thought, and maybe it's because the intention of it was so transparent that I kind of appreciated it. I actually thought Griff did like pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, he made a pretty decent account of himself, man.
Yeah, now here's the thing. From a TV perspective, obviously it wasn't exactly blockbuster. You know, there wasn't many people across the country leaping up and down because Griff Garrison had appeared on AEW Collision. I get it. It wasn't the most exciting way to start this kind of mini direction for Copeland. But I actually thought he did a good job. And like, I do see why Copeland likes him or thinks there's potential there. I get it. The only thing I would say is I probably would have kickstarted the Cope Open if this is going to be a thing he's going to do for a month or so, with something a little more juicy for the kind of the general fan or any fan really for that matter, and then do this the second week just to to give it kind of some ground. I think that would be my one thing. But I honestly thought Griff did a pretty good job.
Ibu, who are you trying to see wrestle Adam Copeland in the Cope Open?
A wrestler better than Griff Garrison, which was
who you don't have to get spiteful. There was no need for that. There was really no need for that.
I'm sorry. I got my ass. PC Richard and Son called me in the middle of the podcast to finally schedule my appointment to fix my fucking fridge. I pick up. Hello. No response. I call the number back and it says, "You're calling the PC Richard and Son service line. Our store hours are closed. Please call again between the hours of 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Go fuck yourself, PC Richard and Son. To answer your question, I don't know, man. Anybody from the Collision cast. Give me Brody King versus Adam Copeland. Give me. I was gonna say Miro, but he doesn't job.
Double count out, brother.
He might
be would for Adam Copeland.
I was gonna say Miro might go. Oh, you're from WWE. I'll jump for you. Yeah, of course.
Hall of Famer, brother.
Hall of Famer, WWE. But any of those Collision dudes, man. Let's get Danielson versus Adam Copeland. Why not? Let's do that on
Danielson would probably beat him. Yeah. Ruins the Cope Open.
I love the way you said it, like it's like wrestling's real. He was like, Danielson would kick his ass, bro. It'd be over.
What, brother? That
was another Manny callback spot.
We need that because in the build to Mania 37, there was a lot of static between Danielson and Edge. And, Edge was like this little gremlin getting in the way of me and Roman Reigns, but we never got the singles match. And you know what? If you go back to that three-way at Mania 37, there's little moments where it's just Edge and Bryan, and it's pretty fucking good. Edge does a forearm exchange trading with Danielson, which he normally doesn't do. It's pretty sweet. Let's get that singles match.
There's a lot you can do with him, man. But yeah, Claudio's going to be facing Hangman on Wednesday. I'm sure that's going to be great. And the main event, FTR versus the House of Black. Buddy Matthews versus Malachi Black. And I like this, man. I like it when FTR get to stretch their legs and can kind of, structure the match how they want to do it, and that's kind of what this is kind of what they get to do in Collision main events, especially in North Carolina. So, I understand why some people thought the pacing of this was kind of a lot to stay locked in for, but I liked this for what it was. I liked it quite a lot, to be honest. Obviously, I always love watching the FTR, the WrestlePurists 2023 Tag Team of the Year, back to back. 2022, 2023. And yeah, Buddy Matthews, man, he always looks good in there. He always looks kind of driven to make a good account of himself, Malachi Black, he was all right, Malachi Black was all right in there, he's not prime Aleister Black.
I made the mistake. Monty froze. Monty, you back? No, you froze for a bit. I was just going to say, I made the mistake, Joe, of watching Ricochet and Aleister Black versus the War Raiders before this match, like a day before. And so the Aleister Black of 5 years ago was fresh in my mind when I saw Malachi here. Yeah, you don't want to do that, But nevertheless, I thought this was very good, to be honest with you. The match went maybe a bit too long, but you're in North Carolina, man. You know what I mean? It's
very indulgent.
Yeah, but sometimes, in North Carolina on a Collision main event where Tony Schiavone's on tap talking about Mid-Atlantic, you know what I mean? go 22 minutes.
It's your kind of thing, isn't it, Joe Hulbert?
It just
Anything you want to say about it?
It had issues. Like here's the thing. I'm never gonna kind of co-sign giving the House of Black like a heat segment. I don't think anyone wants to see them do it, and most people want to cheer them anyway. But Buddy took up most of that time, and Buddy Matthews was terrific here, I thought. And kind of, he's the one member of that faction who is a better fit in the kind of traditional, drop down tackle, hip toss, that kind of, deal that FTR often go for. Buddy's a good fit in that. I thought the pacing, I definitely could see if you're someone who doesn't care. I could see it being a challenge. If Michael Cole was on commentary, he would have called it vintage collision. But he was in fact not. Collision, one night stand. Many others were saying, but nonetheless, Dax I thought did a really good job of like striking a balance in terms of his tone, because the way they did the build, he had to be super aggressive here, right? Because they were talking about his family and shit. He had to, but they were going at a runtime that he couldn't really do that in the way that with his rawest form. He couldn't just come charging out the gates. They were going 20 minutes here. So they kind of made the story of the match, they did. They made the story of the match that basically Cash and Dax had a game plan of keeping his head. And at one point, Cash actively calmed Dax down when they went over to his family. So I thought that was a smart way of navigating it and kind of like having the match they wanted to have, but doing it in a way that was logical for the build, right? The reason Dax was still wrestling like he normally does, just with a slight, a little bit more aggression than usual, was because that was what they were trying to do. They didn't want to let the mind games affect them. So down the stretch, a couple timing issues, got a little too cute for their own good sometimes. But there's a lot of awesome stuff in that match. Like the Cash Wheeler dive, catch into the double knees at the end. Cash Wheeler's a force of nature. That dude's he's a monster. So yeah, I really like the match.
Caucasian Sheamus.
Yeah, there was a lot. There's a lot to like if you're a WrestlePurist worldwide faithful. There was a lot to like in this. So yeah, man. Good stuff. But
we have some announcements, Monty. There's a 8-woman tag announced for Dynamite, and I don't.
When did we start doing this?
Doing what?
Every match that gets announced that we have to stop the podcast in its tracks with there's a Sky Blue match this Wednesday.
You gotta let the people know that a banger isn't coming on this
era, bro. Anyway, unless it's like, oh my god, as if they've booked this match. I don't. It's
a dream match, Monty. I gotta be honest.
What is it?
It's a dream match. That's all you need to know. And you'll know when you look at the graphic.
Absolutely know that it isn't. Anyway. We'll do some super chats and we're going to wrap it up. Cody Wills 499, appreciate you. Look forward to TNA Hard to Kill this Saturday night. Hammerstone versus Alexander should be a hoot. Interested to see if they have some surprises. Well, obviously they've got the signing.
What's Elijah doing in the Impact Zone? That's definitely
Spurs. Showtime Spurs $12, appreciate it. The way this FTR House of Black feud is going, I think they might have Giulia miss Dax's daughter. Surely not, right?
But then, if she does that, then Dax's daughter has to be on the TV turning evil.
Oh, hang on a second. Let's trust the process on this one, folks.
Plethora 1C 199, appreciate it as always. Roman should stack those 3 and pin them together.
Randy would never agree to do this.
Oh yeah, I tend to agree with you. But Willie 199, appreciate it as always. Conspiracy hat on. Chances H-Man screws Roman. 0. Yeah. Will Chisholm $10, appreciate you as always. When it comes to main roster and NXT, because NXT try to make them work safer, but it feels like Triple H letting them work their style, like EO versus Mia.
It's case by case.
Absolutely. Hush $2, appreciate you. What legend surprises do y'all see at Royal Rumble this year?
I legitimately think Maven's going to be in it because he's got the YouTube deal going. He's kind of back in the buzz. I think Maven's going to show up. Yeah, I think that's the thing they'll do.
Give me RVD and Sean Waltman.
Sean Waltman, according to PW Insider, will be in the city for
cool,
Rumble weekend. So I think he's a potential one that we can.
Hey Sean, get me in for old time's sake, and he fucking calls it. That's how he sounds these days. He's like,
it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
That's how a lot of wrestlers sound these days.
We're here live with Kurt Angle. Kurt, what do you think of the last night's show? Oh, yeah, I love WWE.
How did we get to Kurt Angle? Anyway, Will Chisholm, $5. Remember, for 2 days, fans thought WWE and TNA was going to work together lol because they changed pay-per-view to PLE. Yeah, that was definitely a thing that was happening on Twitter for a few days. Lysis Strata, I think I was pronouncing that correctly, $5.99. Maybe a dumb question. Would Triple H ever try to loosen up WWE's in-ring style, or is it too baked in at this point?
Case by case.
Yeah,
I think we've seen that with his
mean
regime so far, anyway.
a lot of it for me isn't the content; it's like the structure. Like that thing they do that drives me insane, where they do like the 2 minutes into a break thing. I wish that became less common, dude. That's brutal. Starting a big match and going to an ad within a minute or two is fucking insane to me. But
you know, it's crazy.
It is baked in, you know. So
AEW has started trickling that in a little bit too recently.
Really? See, I don't with AEW. I don't notice because obviously I'm on fire.
Because you watch the fight.
Yeah. Whereas when I watch WWE the next day, obviously there's a cut, so it's like fuck. Yeah, it
Yeah.
drives me nuts.
Yeah, on AEW now they're doing that thing too now, where like it's an entrance and like a sequence and then immediately to a breakdown. And I'm like, why are you copying this? Why are you copying this?
Oh, deal. Hush $2. MJF getting the Jey Uso announcement to Collision. Maybe. Alex $5 appreciated. War Dogs in NXT as a new undisputed era would be kind of cool. Would it?
I never need a new Undisputed Era when Undisputed Era is literally happening again on the other channel.
Hush
Give it a few more years.
Hush 199 appreciate. When will Sean drop Brian Pillman Jr. or will his name carry him? Well, I don't think he's going to just drop him because.
If you haven't noticed, Monty, he's already starting to naturally sink to where he probably should be on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I don't think it's going to be a thing where it's like, oh my god, I'm getting him out of it. I think he'll just kind of settle low on the card. Will Chisholm, $5. The only way I see WWE work with Stardom is if Triple H lets EO work a Stardom show.
I'd like to see EO work a Stardom show.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Showtime Spurs, $5. Appreciate it. That Ellering faction pops me. Looked like the villain's opposite Jason Statham in a Netflix action film. Listen, bro, in the ring, there's like a screenshot of like Cross in the middle and AOP at either side of him, and they just look like fucking 300-pound monsters, all of them. So it's like they've got the look. Then you've got Scarlett, you've got Paul Ellering just looking menacing. You know, like they've got a great look.
They're assassins from Guyana. They call themselves the Authors of Pain. You know, just fucking doing the scouting report of them. Led by a man named Paul Ellering. You know.
WrestlePurists Fabrizio Romano, $2. Copeland versus Gravity. Here we go. No, thank you. Caden Lee, $1.99. Hope you had a good birthday. Appreciate it as always. Ibu, was I born when you started watching Graps?
No.
Ibu is pretty old, and with that, people, we've got to the end here. The Battle in the Valley card's really good since we've got a minute.
Tremendous.
Battle in the Valley card's really, really good. It's got Ospreay, Okada, Shingo, Mox, no DQ, Eddie versus Gabe Kidd. You know what else we got? Giulia's on the card. She's wrestling Trisha Dora, I think. There's the Lucha tag with like Rocky and Valador and cool, Soberano Jr. Who's the other person?
What is Kaden? Quickly, while you're still here, what are you talking about in the chat there?
It's a comment you made yesterday.
No,
I think it was yesterday.
No. He's talking about Punk.
Oh, Punk. I thought he was on about the super chat.
No.
Punk will be with Drew segment. Fightful. Punk isn't on internal rundowns.
So what are you talking about?
We're closing with Punk Panic here, folks.
So bro, what the fuck was that, man?
I'm just going to read the headline and we're going to get out of here because
Jesus.
WWE Raw plans Dream McIntyre.
Man, I thought like Phil ran out. Like I thought, like what the, you know what I mean?
Bro, you look terrible.
What happened, bro?
We've got a mini Ibu. Stop crying, bro. CM Punk isn't listed on the internal rundown, but he is planned for the show.
So
Bro, stop the pod. Yeah, exactly, bro. So you didn't have to like start crying on the pod when we're trying to wrap up, did you? Anyway, with that, thanks guys for watching. Please like the video, subscribe. We massively appreciate the super chats. Sorry for Ibu's lateness, but he was on camera, so we tried to make it worth it. You know, we're gonna keep him on camera. And thanks for watching again. Like, subscribe, and we will be back tomorrow with a Raw review if Ibu can pull it off with Rob. But yeah. One last time, like, subscribe, thanks for watching, appreciate the super chats. Peace.